One of the first steps to automating any CPA and accounting firm is to really understand how much time are you spending on each process and also how much time are you spending on each client, right? So not only you can make sure that you are optimizing your current operations, but also you are running a profitable operations, right? And to do that, it's important to understand important pillars when you are talking about maximizing your billable hours and of course improving accuracy as well, right? There are some companies that they start by manually tracking their time and their tasks, and that's not the right way to do so, mainly because there are many, of course, human error when logging those hours. um, Also, you need to keep remembering all your team members to do that manually. Sometimes they do that on paper, and they can like lose those records, and of course you end up with like some discrepancies between the actual time that you're spending for that client for that task and what you are kind of tracking, right? And because of that, because it's not very accurate, you have of course impact on not only on revenue but on your clients relationships, right? So maybe you are underbilling for a certain process for a certain client. Maybe you are losing client trust because the client doesn't trust your time tracking because you're doing all of that manually. Maybe because you are delaying your bidding cycle, which is of course a very bad experience to your client, right? And also it's because as you don't have a very accurate time tracking, you don't have a great way to have a broader overview about your operations, right? Sometimes you can have examples like I just added here, like employees losing like 6 hours every week, or from 15 to 30% of billable time that can be lost as well. So that's why it's very hard to have a very accurate manual time tracking. And that's why I recommend always, of course, automating that process as well. The other part is, of course, selecting the right time tracking platform that I'm going to use, because there are a lot of time tracking tools on the market, but they have kind of different features. So I would say that the key features for you to look at in any time tracking platform would be, of course, the first one, which is the most important one, is automatic time capture. So you don't have to keep reminding yourself to manually log those hours. You can automatically capture all the time that you're spending on each task. Not only that, the time tracking platform needs to be open to integrate with your current tech stack, and that's really important. So, talking about this, your CRM, your project management tool, QuickBooks, for example, right? Zero, and some other ones. So that's really important. So those things will be connected, right? And of course, having the option to download the mobile app as well, which is also important. So there are some options here that I just highlighted here. So the first one is T-Sheets, there is Togo, there is Harvest. They are very good for professional services. For CPAs, of course, you can have QuickBooks Time, which is good because it's already natively integrated with QuickBooks, and you also have Big Time, right? Togo is the one that I really like because, again, as I mentioned, it's very easy to integrate with other tools. QuickBooks Time is great, but it's not that easy to integrate with other tools. So that's why it's important to take those things into consideration so you can identify the best time tracking platform for you and for your business, right? And of course, depending on the different business sizes, right? So for very small firms or a solopreneur firm, like tool like Togo is very affordable. But for like bigger companies, for enterprise level, there are some other ones, more complex ones, right? Like Replicon, right? Okay, cool. So we're talking about the tools, the platforms that you can use to track your time. So let's say that you have selected the right tool for you. Now it's time to implement the time tracking platform. So it's important to, when you are implementing, when you're installing those time trackers, you need to make sure that you have that installed on your desktop. But also you can install those as a browser extension, right? So for example, you can go to the home store and you can find Toggle there, for example, or Harvest, right? So it's important to make sure that you're installing those in many different places so we can capture everything that you are doing, not only you, but of course, all your team. So that's why desktop, browser extension, and mobile app as well, right? There is also the option to GPS based tracking. So we can only start tracking when you are at the office, for example, right? So that's another option. And also, when you start implementing those tools, there are some options that you can set it up, like specifically creating rules to create those time trackers to and assign them to a specific client, specific projects, to allocate those to the right project automatically, right? So that's why, like, when you talk about the features, I would say that those are the must-have ones, but there are some other ones that are nice to have, but they're really, really helpful, like the ones that you can kind of predefine or set up custom rules for your business, right? And also, there are some platforms that you can even have the flexibility of adding a manual input for time tracking. So you can add it and you can manually add any kind of extra task that you have done for that client, for example. So having that flexibility of using both the automated way of tracking your time, but also be able to input your own manual input, it's also important. It can be relevant for your company, right? Once you have all those time trackers implemented on your company, on your computer, on your team member's computer, then you can start moving to the billing process, right? You can start automating that, let's say, the transition between all the time entries that you have into invoices, right? And that's why the integration between those two with your accounting software is really important, like QuickBooks and Xero. So then you can convert those entries into invoices and share those invoices automatically to your clients as well, right? And when we discuss here some like custom rules and predefined projects that you can customize here on the time tracking platform, you can also convert that into the billing rules as well, right? So you can link those things. So you can have custom rates for specific projects or for specific clients, and those things will be connected, right? Again, having the integration between the time tracking with your accounting software is really, really important. Also, there is like the option, for example, to flag any type of exception or anything that is different from your pattern that you are used to do, from your standard kind of way of work. And then you can analyze those before actually sending out the billing, sending out the invoices, so you can kind of handle those exemptions there as well, right? Of course, after you have your time tracker platform implemented and connected to the billing process, now you can start also integrating with your other tech stack, right? As I mentioned at the beginning, your CRM, your project management tool, and some other tools that you use to run your operations. And that's really important. Of course, I'm a very kind of advocate about integrating all the tools, because the more they talk to each other, the less manual work you're going to have to do, the less manual input you're going to have to do. So it's important to connect to your project management tools, important to connect to your, as we discussed, your accounting software, and also your CRM, right? So you can have everything connected and everything being tracked effectively as well, right? And of course, I would say like the last part of this process is analyzing the data, right? So you have your time tracking in place, you have everything connected, all your tech stack connected with your time tracker. Now you can analyze the data. You can identify the clients that are more profitable, the projects that are more profitable to you, and then you can start kind of making business decisions according to the data that you are collecting, and that's really, really important. So before, you're like, when you first install the time tracker, you are doing that so you can have a more profitable business, spend less time doing the manual time tracking process. But at the end of the day, once you start collecting the data, that's really valuable to your business and to yourself, right? So you can start making better business decisions and having a more profitable operations, a more profitable firm, and that's really important. I'm very passionate about data, about analyzing and tracking everything. So That's one of the most important parts of having a time tracker to your firm. Okay. Hope this is helpful. Hope you understand the importance of automating your time tracking process, and how by doing that you are generating a great impact into your firm. Not only automating those tasks, but also having more profitable operations. Okay. Again, if you need help doing this for your firm, um, feel free to reach out to us. We help other CPAs and accounting firms do that, and we'll be glad to help you as well. Thank you.